Hey, girl.
What's tea?
I don't know. You tell me.
It is a beautiful day in Cleveland, Ohio. So far, it's about to get hot as hell outside. You know, I don't like the heat. And all I packed was pants, like a dumbass.
Pants.
And I'm not going back home.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be a day.
Well, whose home are you going to?
That is none of these people's business.
Well, I think the fans would like to know what Avery does on a Saturday night, you know? Maybe we should follow you with a camera, do like a little...
Like a RuPaul S back in the day before the bigotry. No,
you cutting up already.
But some of those little videos are cute. I was like, look at RuPaul before the money and the white influence. I mean, there was always white influence, but white wealthy influence.
The fracking. Let me stop before we get demonetized.
I don't think they're looking to monetize us anyway.
Well, that one little ad, we made it a nice little $2.37.
We still got to frame that, the $2.
We do need to frame the $2. It's dragged from the left's first $2. Yeah. I feel like Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, we can frame it, and when we get real big and like a good listenership, we can always come back to humble beginnings.
Yeah, something like that. Hey, everybody, we are black again for episode 1, season 2 of Drag from the Left, your weekly digital series where we discuss RuPaul's Drag Race and relevant social issues from a radical leftist perspective. I am your hostess with the mostest, the very Reverend Dr. Juanita Bind'Em.
And my name is Avery Ware. My drag name this week is Professor Sarita.
Oh, we love it. What's your class number? 300? Is this a 300 level class?
It's a 69 level class.
Oh, 69 level class.
69. Yeah, so we real high up on that. Yeah, you gotta come to this class before you graduate, and you gotta pass it with a 69% or more.
If only college was that easy. I could 69 my way through college.
I did 69 in grad school.
Some of us got started a little young, maybe 9th grade. Anyway, so we are here. It is All-Star 6. I think that is interesting. It has been, like, why are we on All-Star 6? It's too many of them.
Back to back. You know, RuPaul's franchise, World of Wonder, they don't play about the coin.
No, they're making the money.
And the pandemic ain't stopped no show, literally. They had to stop several shows.
I think they were like the first show to go back into production during the pandemic. They wasn't playing.
First one I heard of.
Ru was gonna make that coin no matter what.
No matter what.
I heard that in Australia that they didn't even do like a casting call. They had like a fake Instagram page, and they was just DMing Australian queens like, "Yo, I have an opportunity for you. Call me. Let me know what's up."
That's season 1.
Yeah, very much. Like, I mean, they didn't have any promo looks. They didn't do pretty much anything, you know?
And you can tell.
Well, I mean, they was pretty good at casting racists. I wonder if they got like a special metal detector that just kind of like looks for them.
I mean, Eureka and Serena are here, so I'm sure they got one.
Yeah. Well, you know, since we gonna do it, get into it. Professor, let us know what we're gonna talk about today.
So today we are going to talk about casting, more so diversity and representation.
Okay.
And if you know anything about me, my political person, my socio-political kind of ideology, both of us really, we have grown to hate the word diversity, right? Not the concept of diversity, because diversity is cute and necessary, right? But when we stop at diversity, or we stop at representation matters, it kind of falls flat. And this casting in RuPaul's Drag Race as a franchise is a prime example of this, because this cast is so diverse. Let's go through it. So we have black queens, trans queens, fat queens, Latinx queens. We do not use fat in a pejorative sense. It's just a literal word. It's a descriptor. You know, people are fat. Alex and I are both fat. It's no shade. It's not a pejorative. It just is what it is. We have Latinx queens, and we have white queens, and we have older queen. Well, a older queen. So let's go through it. Our black queens. And this is not to reduce people to one particular identity. We're just delineating the different representation as a part of this very diverse cast, right? So we have Carrie C. Davenport from season 11.
Guys, where is the body?
Where is this? She is here on All-Star 6 and looking sickening. Like,
where is your scooter? Where is it?
I love her. We'll get into that towards the end. But we have Raja D. O'Hara from season 11 as well.
Well, public service announcement for anybody that was wondering. This season of Drag from the Left, this is and will be a Raja O'Hara stand account. Raja for the win.
Raja for the win. We are calling it right now.
Raja for the win.
Last season we called Simone for the win very early on. I feel like it was episode 1. We were also Tamisha stand account, and we still are. But this season it is Raja O'Hara, and look at the material.
I mean, look at it.
We have Silky Nutmeg Ganache, also from season 11. Season 11 came through.
Yeah, they in there.
And we have Trinity K. Bonet from season 6. Another one of my faves.
A real lip sync assassin.
Actual lip sync assassin, not someone who can lip sync.
Who was in the bottom a lot.
Yeah, an actual lip sync assassin.
You have a lip sync assassin, and then you have just like somebody who was in the bottom a lot. There is a difference.
There is. And like we said, every season does not have a lip sync assassin. I don't think season 13 had a lip sync assassin.
No.
I don't.
I mean, Candy was in the bottom twice, but I wouldn't call her a lip sync assassin.
Not by any means. I've never seen a performance from Candy that I was like, oh, that bitch ate.
Yeah, and then Lala didn't lip sync enough to I wouldn't necessarily consider her a lip sync assassin that season either. Like
Denali either. As dope as they both are as artists and lip syncers, I just don't think season 13 had an assassin.
Yeah, an assassin would come like Peppermint and literally blow your head off with a shotgun like she did against Miss Homegirl.
Yes. Okay. There are very few lip sync assassins in the franchise.
Yeah, Coco Montrese, Peppermint,
Trinity K. Bonet.
And we could really stop.
I feel like it starts and stops there.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. We have our trans queens who I'm so excited to see.
The girls are in the house.
The girls are here and looking amazing. We have Kylie Sonique Love. I'm trying to get acclimated to calling her Kylie Sonique Love. You can call me Kylie. Instead of just simply Sonique. From season 2, a veteran. I love when they bring back girls from like season 13 prior. I mean, season 3 prior. Like, I love when they bring the old queens back. We also have Jiggly Caliente from season 4, who I also really enjoy, but we'll get into that later. We have our fat queens. And again, you're going to hear some of these names more than once because people contain multitudes. They stand at multiple intersections, right? Like Silky Nutmeg Ganache, which she mentioned in the show. She was like, I'm one of 4 from season 11. I'm one of 6 black queens. I'm one of 4 fat queens, right? Those intersections matter, right? We also have Eureka O'Hara from season 10 and 11.
Gross.
I'm going to shade Eureka this entire season because I hate her. We have Ginger Minj from season 7 and All Stars 2. And we have Jiggly Caliente from season 4. Our Latinx queens. Okay, so here's my caveat here because I think some of them are Afro-Latino, but none of them, like, I think Jiggly Caliente is Afro-Latino, but they have never self-proclaimed to be Afro-Latino. So I'm not, or Latina or Latinx, so I'm not going to assign that. I'm just going to say Latinx.
Yeah, absolutely don't assign it because, we got somebody like Miss Vanjie who like to say nigga, 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 but will definitely say that she's not black. So I think we should just kind of leave that be.
Yeah. Okay. So our Latinx queens, Yara Sofia, season 3 and All Stars 1. Jiggly Caliente, once again, people contain multitudes, stand at intersections. Jiggly is one of those people. And Serena Cha Cha from season 5. And then we just have our Lily White queens, Jan from season 12.
Jan Backpack,
whose actual drag name is Jan Sport, which I just found that out when I was getting prepared for the show.
Yeah, but she can be Jan Sport on the show because that is like copyrighted.
Right. There's a lot of the names they have to like
Brita Filter, Jan Sport, all
you have to like redact for the purpose of the show, which I get, I guess. We have Scarlet Envy from season 11.
Yeah.
Who I secretly am here for.
I was talking to Benji about this. If you are just tuning in and have never listened before, Benji's my partner. And I was like, there is something about Scarlett that does it for me.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah.
I like her. And then we have Pandora Box from season 2 and All Stars 1. And she's an older queen, significantly older than the rest of the group. She's 48 years old. Jiggly is 39, so she is pushing in age too. But all the other queens are pretty much in the same, like, late 20s, early mid-30s.
Yeah.
Age group, right? Jane is like 27, so she's the youngest of the group.
Yeah.
And 27 is young, but it's older, up in age a little bit. So that's our queens, and again, it's a very diverse group, diverse both in identity and in like talent and skill set,
yeah.
Right? Kind of like season 13. But here's what I want to say about this. On a show like Drag Race, who proclaimed to champion diversity, right? We are so glad to see a bunch of black queens, our trans queens, absolutely. We are happy that they are here. To have a bunch of fat representation across the board, right? We love to see that. But there's also responsibility that comes with this, right? Drag Race is not the most proactive in defining exactly what diversity, inclusion, equity, those things are. And they're not really championing those things either, right? When you bring a bunch of these queens together and you know your fan base is the way that it is, there's a responsibility that comes with educating your fan base around these different identities.
Yeah.
Right? And Drag Race just does not do that. So representation is not enough, and we've talked about this. I feel like every interview or every panel we sit on, they ask us about like diversity and representation.
What do you feel about diversity?
And we always have the same answer: it's cute, but it's not enough. Like that is the bar, and the bar's on the floor. Right?
It has been,
and it has been, right? And this season in Drag Race is a prime example of that. Like we need to be elevating. Like, we have diversity. That's cute. I always say diversity is the amount of people in the room. Yeah. And equity and inclusion is more about how you treat the people in the room. And the way they treat these people in the room on Drag Race is nowhere near equitable or fair, in air quotes, right? Or of a politic that, you know, the art of drag is kind of aligned with. Yeah. Like this kind of more radical politic.
Well, it's definitely, I think it's aligned with the RuPaul's Drag Race format of drag. It's very in line, you know, with that. Like we are in very close company right now with drag legends. Yes. And the world is just much more vast, you know, than that. And so is the real world. And we continue to talk about how, like, what happens on Drag Race, nothing happens within a vacuum or like this, like it's much more expansive. So I will say that in the story producing this season, I don't know if you can tell, but in the confessionals, like they all started off in episode 1, Raja, Silky, people whose narratives in season 11 like align themselves with like a lot of the stereotypical TV black tropes, some of that we talked about in our Reading is Fundamental last season, and they were kind of like setting up this internal like I've gotten better, I'm not as pretty much just like I am much more palatable for you. Yep. Don't worry. I'm not going to be on none of that loud, ghetto, black, mean shit. Yep. It's pretty much what they were saying. And I didn't think that was fair because who doesn't come on a international TV show trying to make their dreams come true and don't act a little bit cray-cray? Like
a competition show.
Show at that where they're literally pitting you against each other, telling you that you look like shit. And then like dangling, you know, an $100,000 prize in front of you, what you probably end up with $60,000 after that with the taxes, you know. So I just don't. And then you spent all this money to get there. I would be a little bit off the wall too. Yeah, so, you know. And then Jan can say something like, "I was on an 11, but this time I was like, okay." But then the narrative for like Silky and Raja, you know what I'm saying, is something very, very different.
Right. And like, and we can even go back seasons, right? We can go back to Alyssa Edwards. She was not the nicest person on season 5. She was, she was likable. Right, and she was personable, but she was not the nicest, right? She was a bitch, shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down, like ganging up on Serena, which I'll talk about later. She was the one that was coming at J. Jolie's neck for kind of virtually no reason.
Poor little Jolie. She was just sitting there.
She was just there for that to have a good time. She ain't want no smoke. And here come Alyssa Edwards, right? Courtney Act was not nice at all to Jocelyn Fox. Like, I remember watching that season, I was like, she's a bitch. I don't like her.
Yeah, I mean, and Derek Barry, along with the judges, told Bob the drag queen that they were ghetto and ratchet. And
it was not nice to Naomi Smalls, and kind of said that same kind of like underlying racist aggressions to Naomi too, without like actually saying it. Derek Barry's just a mean-spirited person. I can't stand a bitch like that.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, when you look at so Derek Barry is one who came back onto the show, and when you look, I mean, they were only in one
real quick
and left immediately. But like, you didn't see anything in the story producing on episode 1 of All Stars, which All Stars that was that 5 of All Stars 5, where they were talking about, you know, I have evolved and I am not longer, you know, pigeonholing people into racist, anti-black stereotypes. They didn't have to say that. There was no justification.
She came right out the gate beefing with India Farah.
Yeah,
and call her all kind of names.
So again, this is just another example of how it presents one way, but when you really break it down, you know, it is something very, very different.
Very different depending on the person.
Yeah.
Right. Depending on the person's identity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I said, like we talked about, like Raja O'Hara was not that unhinged. Like some of the things she said, because she never said yes. But like, and that's the thing about Black queens and Black people, you know, in the actual world, is that they would nitpick every single flaw or thing they consider to be a flaw. When you compare it to kind of like the dominant culture of like white middle class.
Yeah. But the truth of the matter is that queens, Raja and queens like Raja really bring it to you every ball. Like, first off, they have an iconic line. How many queens end up with iconic lines? I'm not gagging. Like,
right.
Like that is a line. And who gave you permission to take my motherfucking tree bark? I would like to know. Like, you know, who told you could take my tree bark? And quiet as this cat, we want to be honest about it. Plastic Tiara, we just needed to get to the bottom of it. There were some things that we needed to get to the bottom of. Like, which one is it? We want to know.
Right. Like, I feel like if you or I were ever on TV, period, not just RuPaul's Drag Race, especially on a competition show, right? You know me, I'm not afraid of confrontation. I don't like it, but I'm not afraid of it. And if we need to get to the bottom of something, I'm probably the first one that's going to be like, all right, girl, so you know we got something to talk about. Let's talk about it. And if you come at me the wrong way, you liable to get cussed out, right? And they can frame that in like the angry Black man narrative, which has been like my life story.
When the book coming out?
Right? That could literally be the title of my book. Like when I tell y'all from about 8th grade to the time I graduated high school, my nickname literally was Angry Black Man. And I was angry. One, I had a right to be. Shit on Black youth in America. Undercover queer Black youth in America. Right? And y'all are antagonizing that very thing. Y'all antagonizing my queerness, my Blackness, and being dark-skinned, and being chubby. So yeah, if I knock you upside your head because you came at me wrong, then I feel like I have a right to do that. And you cannot, well, you can because that's what they do, but you really can't in good faith be like, oh, you're angry and just kind of demonize and criminalize my person because of how I react to oppression and bigotry, right? And that's what they are doing on kind of on a smaller but bigger scale, if that makes sense, to people like Raja O'Hara and Silky.
Yeah.
Because Silky was loud and a lot, but she was also... No, people also came at her for being loud and Black and fat.
Well, I mean, she was another one of the queens that got, you know, I mean, she said it in like, what Drag Race does this thing where they continue to place the responsibility on managing the fandom directly onto the drag, on every single person except for the show, right? Because the show, RuPaul still has yet to make a legitimate PSA. Like, you record 16 episodes of a season at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You don't got 5 minutes to put on the microphone and be like, listen up, motherfuckers. What we will not do. You know what I'm saying? And that would actually go a long way.
That
you
would
have
move
to
the needle
set the
a lot. Yes.
But they won't do that. They absolutely won't do that. I really don't expect it to ever happen. The same way that they haven't actually spoken about the transphobic violence that they have, you know, enacted against queens on the show. Stars like Peppermint, you know, like these things don't just go just because just because the article came out 4 years ago doesn't mean that what happened does not still have an effect. And then we see it over and over again because transitioning into casting and how that relates to the diversity, you now have cast queens like Raja O'Hara and Silky Nutmeg Ganache and Aquarius C. Davenport. Like, there are these beautiful Black queens on this television show, but then you put them in a room with queens like Eureka O'Hara and Serena Cha-Cha, which are two drag queens who have a documented history, some of which is recorded on your television show, of them enacting anti-Black violence, you know what I'm saying, against their competitors.
Absolutely.
I will never forget when Serena Cha-Cha's, who was not serving anything.
Not a wig?
She thinks she's serving a wig.
I'm talking, this season, that first episode, the wig was laid. I'll give her that.
It was interesting.
But in season 5, when she was getting red and was giving all that anti-Black
but we want to talk about she's ghetto and like
because you were getting red.
Because you was getting red.
So, and that's the thing. Remember what I said? Season 1, bigotry is a choice, right? She sat there and took it until she couldn't take it anymore. And then what did she resort to? Racism, right? And she was talking about pretty much everybody in the room, but it was mainly directed towards Monica Beverly Hills, who was sitting on her left, and Coco Montrese, who was sitting on her right. They were coming at her the hardest, but they were also responding to things that Serena had said, right?
Right.
Detox was the one that went off, but she didn't go off until Serena called everybody ghetto.
I haven't had it.
Officially. Right. So that's when we talk about the racism that comes from. A lot of people don't remember that bit, and they're like, well, how you can take that little bit? And no. Like,
I'm going to tell you what, if you can say that, right, without thinking about it, with how many cameras you think is in that room? At least 4. It isn't at least 4. Probably more than that. PAs around here, you wired up to a microphone. You in company of strangers. If you can be that confident to say that, right? What type of things do you think these people say when they're like comfortable at home and in company that they are familiar with in their territory, in their domain? Hello? What type of things do you think people are saying?
I wish we had a camera here so they can see how I was just looking
okay.
at you like, hello.
Let me do a image description. Avery is wearing a red bandana, white shirt with red letters across it that says the Vixen was right. And we stand with it. They slightly leaned forward and gave that hand like, you know what I'm talking about. Okay?
It was very church like, come on. All right.
Preach.
Right. Okay, so let's get back into it, because this is where diversity and representation fall flat again, especially on this show, right? You're saying, oh, we're diverse. We welcome everybody. We're a melting pot. I fucking hate that phrase so much. But, that is the, that's what is given.
It's the American dream.
But then you cast, and even we can leave Serena out of it because a lot of people don't even know who she is. But, and that's not shade. It's just the truth, right? She was from season 5, and she really hasn't really been in the public domain a whole lot. She's been off to the side doing her wigs, which are cute. But you have a person like Eureka O'Hara, who has been consistently out here working, is very popular. I would venture to say one of the more popular drag queens that have come out.
And one of the more successful.
One of the most successful, right? But a very blatant and overt racist. Not even trying to hide it at this point. In the same way, the production of the backing of the show never touches or speaks out against racism, the black queens in the franchise don't do it either.
Yep.
How y'all just sitting up here kikiing with this bitch and y'all know she racist? It grinds my gears. We just want to ignore the fact that she be on camera saying nigga.
All the time.
Ignore the fact
all the time.
That just on the last episode on season 2, she was given anti-black microaggressions, micro in air quotes, right? Because it'll sometimes fly under the radar if you don't have a trained eye and ear for it. But I hear it because I do have one, right? And she gets away with it, and she keeps doing it because all the black people surrounding her, well, I'm not going to say all because we don't know the conversations they had in private, but also, if she's being racist in public, you should call her out in public. But because y'all called the Vixen out in public, y'all was quick to call Tamisha out in public, but we don't have no smoke for Eureka O'Hara.
Bob the Drag Queen and Keisha Carr, they said that directly on that live. They was like, well, I was taught that if it's done in public, then it need to be corrected in public.
Y'all don't ever say shit about Eureka, though. She came off of that fucking season 10 antagonizing the Vixen the way that she did, hopped right back on civil rivalry the next fucking season.
Setting her up
to their faces on camera.
I just wanted to see how you was gonna react.
Said it twice in the confessional and on the reunion. Nobody said nothing. Not RuPaul. I do think Monet was going to say something. She had her hand raised, but it could have been in defense of Eureka. We don't even know at this point, especially seeing how the whole Vixen thing played out. And that's actually why I bought this merch after the whole fallout with Bob and Monet happened. I wanted to support the Vixen because I felt like, one, she wasn't wrong, right? And, when you weaponizing your fan base like that, and I'm going to use that term because that's what I think they're doing, either intentionally or not. When you weaponize your majority white fan base against a black queen this way, they're not going to buy her merch, so I'm going to buy it. Right. But anyway, but this is where your dog whistle of diversity is silenced because, girl, it's not curling all the way over. And again, we're just going to let it fly.
Yeah, you know how sometimes the girls, you done curled that hair just one too many times. The perm, the hair is brittle. It is breaking off. It ain't taking no heat. And you done got the curling iron up to 500. You done spray all the little spritz on it. And you done curled it, and it's just still sitting there straight. You done
fried your whole ends.
Nothing is happening.
That's what the politics of RuPaul's Drag Race is given. All-Stars in regular season. And some of the other franchises like Thailand and... Thailand is really pretty genuine. And the queens, I'm not trying to get on the Drag Race Thailand rampage, but those queens are talented.
Oh, the looks are on the things that they serve are on a different level. It's a whole different thing.
The caliber of drag, and it's not because it's more money, because they have to make all their shit there, right? The finale, that final, I forget the queen that won. I forget her name is escaping me right now. She's a trans woman, but she won. And that final performance, everybody was boohooing, including me watching it. Like her dad was a part of it, and he was boohooing. Like it was amazing. Nothing like you're gonna see on the American version because authenticity and realness.
None of it
in
matters.
America. We don't do that here.
Well, if the camera's not on, baby,
it don't matter, right? and that's what it's given. So I think we can transition out of this and into our call and call out because I really think they marry each other really well.
Yes, it is time for a segment of Call In, Call Out, the part of our show where we take a moment to either point out a moment of overt bigotry, problematicism, and things that look like that, to just overtly call it out, or to take a chance to call in and provide some educational resources to individuals who maybe just were trying their best but didn't quite make it.
Which happens. We're human. We're all here to learn. We all gonna fuck up. Sometimes we need to be called in with love.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do. But sometimes we're also here to cuss your ass out, Eureka O'Hara. I'm sure it's gonna happen a few times this season.
Okay. Well, I got a good lip pop that time.
You did.
So my call in, call out this week is for Miss Jan. Miss Jan. So they were doing the notorious reading challenge. And, sometimes in these reading challenges that, again, these girls are not necessarily comedians.
Right.
Most of them aren't.
Right.
I do think the art of the read has been lost.
And that is a whole nother show in and of itself.
The art form of the read has been lost. Either it's just like so just rude and disrespectful that it's like there's no comedy, there's no observation. It's just like, okay, girl, tell me how you really feel.
Like, you black and you got bad teeth. The joke is, you black and you got bad teeth.
Yeah,
like Dorian Corey said, that's not a read, it's just a fact.
Yeah, that's what we be waiting for. And this is what we've had another case of. I think it's contagious. It's catching. Okay,
coronavirus, real.
This shit is real. Oh God, you need to cut it out. We never get through the show. But Miss Jan, so she is
You talking about me? Look at you.
So she is on the show. Time for the reading challenge. They got their little glasses on, and there was a direct read that was given to Trinity K. Bonet. Again, another example where it's like no joke, no punchline, nothing funny, and it's pretty much just like you ugly, you untalented, your flipper, your hair, your clothes. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I do remember how it made me feel. And it made me feel yucky. It was just like you got bad teeth, you got bad hair. It was just three bad things that were just one that were very, very superficial. And I also thought that they were really misplaced coming from a queen that is as polished as Trinity K. Bonet as well, and who is on the performance stature that they are. And Jen did it with a smile on their face from ear to ear. It was very terrifying.
Because she's positive and she's the quirky queen, so she can get away with it.
Yeah, no.
Bitch, you can't.
You cannot. And then the interesting thing about that is that yesterday on Twitter, I know I love Twitter. Yesterday on Twitter, Jan did a thread about how, generally speaking, that the fan base is kind to them, but they're feeling very disconnected from the fandom because so many people are not being nice to her. And I was like, I'm not going to delegitimize that experience because I think I do not know what it's like to have. I got a couple hecklers, and it's so few that delete block is enough for me.
Really ignore them.
So I don't know what it's like to have thousands and thousands of people telling you all types of horrific things underneath your comments, sending you DMs, writing to your PO box. I don't know what that's like. Right. But I do think it's interesting when we want people to extend grace to us that we are not willing, able, or even able to see that we need to extend to others. So you're asking for people to show up for you and to be kind, to literally be the antithesis to what you just were to someone else. And you went from being on level 10 and that didn't work from you. So are you going to try, is this what we're going to get throughout the season? Is Jan being nice nasty the whole time? Because I don't think that fits well on you either.
I don't think Jan knows what fits well on her. That's her problem.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true.
And it's easy to resort to, I'm the positive one, I'm the quirky one, when you don't really have anything else to fall back on. Besides, I can sing.
Yeah! Girl, and sometimes I say show your range, do your little thing. But if Simon Cowell told you how many times did you get the buzzer when you hit that note?
So here's the thing about Jan. She did the exact same thing in this first episode that she did in the first episode in season 12. She showcased every single thing that she was able to do right off the bat. And it was just like, the common consensus was, you're doing a little bit too much. Right, scale it back.
And then, on America's Got Talent, they told her the same thing. She got the buzzer both times. Every time homegirl hit that note, she get the buzzer.
Why aren't you taking the criticism, girl? Why aren't you taking it? They're offering it to you for free. You ain't have to pay for it.
Maybe she doesn't really want to win.
Well, that's tea.
You got one this week? You got to call it.
I have a very small one, and it's something we have talked about endlessly on this damn pod. Endlessly, like we've been doing this for forever. But
it feels like it.
We talked about it multiple times during season 1. So this is going to be real quick. There is no trade of the season. And like the reason that this pissed me off not so much, but the reason why it got to me in this second episode was because y'all talking about trade of the season, but can't even define what trade is.
Very that.
Right. And if you look really closely, all the black queens like Akaria and Raja would just roll their eyes like there is no trade. Because they know what trade is for the most part, at least in the contemporary definition. Because I understand that the definition of trade has transition. And that's the thing about language. Like it evolves, it changes, like it flows, whatever, and you move with it. But you can't forget the origins, and you can't just completely shove away the contemporary understanding of what it is now, right? Which is what Akaria said. She was like, a trade is kind of like just fine, masculine, unclockable. She didn't say that words, but that's what she was getting at.
Yeah.
Unclockable, which is also a little bit problematic, but that is the definition of trade in this contemporary understanding, right? And they didn't even know there wasn't the pit stop either. They kind of stumbled onto the real definition.
Trixie and Manila have not a clue.
And didn't even know that they actually got to where they were trying to go. Right? They was like, maybe it's exchange of goods and services. Like, you fuck me and you get... Yes, that's what trade is. Like, that's what it was. Like, and they didn't even have to be gay or queer. A lot of trade was straight men just wanting to come up. Right? They were prostitutes. They were sex workers. That's what it was. Like, and I'm saying that in a pejorative sense. I'm just keeping it real. Like, trade was either a very masculine gay dude or DL dude or a straight dude who would fuck a openly queer person, openly gay person in exchange, get some money, get their rent paid, get a pair of Jordans,
Yep.
Like they would fuck them to get something in return. That's what trade was like. And it's not, listen, we ain't reading between the lines here. Like, it's very literal.
It's just like it's a very fundamental case of words mean things. And I do think evolution happens, but it happens in relation to what the original was. A spoon, all of a sudden, is not going to turn into a television.
No.
Like, the two things don't meet. It's like, like the front and the back. The two continents don't meet.
That don't meet.
Okay? The front, you got in Africa, and the back. It's over in China. It just don't.
Them continents don't meet.
It just don't meet. So but bringing it full circle about what you said about how the black queens won't just call it out. In that moment, it would have been a good moment. Like, well, ain't no trade here, point blank, period, because trade wouldn't be on the show because
trade wouldn't be in drag.
You have lost the anonymity that is involved in being the trade. But also, all y'all white. Trade cannot, I don't care where the word evolves.
There.
Trade cannot, never will be, has not been white.
White people can't be trade, you can't be DL, you can't be a butch queen.
It's
Those
not
terms
for you.
don't belong to you. You have your own.
You can keep twink and twunk and all the animals, bear, otter, wolf, everything else. Kitty
shark,
cat, whatever you want to be.
Whatever you want to be. Pandoranium.
A kangaroo, pagno, I don't know.
A German shepherd. Do what you want.
You know they love dogs.
Yeah.
So like, whatever you want to be.
Y'all have your own terminology. You can't have ours. And I don't care how petty or stupid it sounds, like you cannot have it. Like those are very racialized terms. And in a lot of instances, they were terms to kind of marginalize us. Like y'all used the term butch queen or trade pejoratively. Some in black communities sometimes we do too. Like but from white people, like y'all would, and there's this term called slumming. I don't want to get into history, but there was a term called slumming in a lot of post-World War II America where gay clubs were popping up all over the place. And, of course, we weren't allowed or permitted to go into white ones. So, of course, like we always do, we created our own, right? But the white gays and lesbians, they found that it was much more congenial. We were much more nicer. They got served. They were entertained better. And... quiet as kept, that got better dick and ass, right? So they would come they would leave their middle class, upper class neighborhoods, and they would come to the hood of Harlem, to the south side of Chicago, to the hood of Detroit.
Educate them now.
Right. And they would come and have a good time in our places. Right. And this is documented. I'm not making this up. This is in the literature. And the term for it that the white folks used was slumming. They would come down to our neighborhoods, get served, get the cheap drinks, get the good dick, get the good drag entertainment, and then they would call it slumming.
Yeah.
Right. And then their language, they would use the terms like drag queen, and a lot of times they were referring to trans women, but they were saying drag queens either because they didn't know, or they were just, being bigots. Or they would say like trade and DL. They would learn those terms and use it pejoratively against in the community that they were infiltrating.
Right.
Right. So no, you can't have them.
No.
You can't.
And the thing is, every time we give it away, every time we let it borrow, you got that one friend who you let borrow your shirt, it come back with a stain, a rib, stretched out, ain't right. It never ends up being what it's supposed to be.
Right, and that's how we got to fucking trade the season on RuPaul's Drag Race.
And they be so excited. It's as if, I don't know because I'm not in the room, but it's as if it's a prompt from producers. Because they always be like, okay, now tell them how your mom died. They're on the side like, okay, and now,
right.
Tell them about that one. Well, I don't think they'll ever do it on American Drag Race, but they did it on Australia because it got such media coverage. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that time you were racist, so it doesn't. No, so what I wish would have happened, Akira could have just went even further, like, listen here, baby.
That's how she talks.
Okay, listen here, baby. Can't none of y'all be trade because ain't none of y'all chocolate. Okay,
no, none of y'all are
trade not you.
And it was like I really felt Raja and the carriers in that moment because that eye roll spoke volume.
It was like they had popped them out their head and shook them like dice. Okay,
like none of y'all. And then Eureka, I think I'm the trader. No, girl, you not. You could never.
Well,
be.
She the trader this season, but when she was talking to Sonique, she talked about she was gonna be the fish of the season. Which one is it?
And you're neither. And that's okay. Like, you're neither of those things, and that's okay. And again, I do think the term fish is kind of problematic, too.
It is.
But so Nick saying that is one thing. Eureka saying that is completely different.
A whole nother. Well, Eureka does have an experience as a trans person. Eureka lived as a trans woman for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they lived as a trans person for 4 or 5 years. They always felt as if they were a woman. They transitioned. And, of course, this was the time where like access to hormones and medical transitions was difficult. Okay. So they did it the best way they knew how, and they started to have negative health side effects from that or whatever. And they also were in a bit of a relationship with someone who would, quote unquote, we would call like a tranny chaser, who was like with it but wasn't. And they ended up settling on a place that was more comfortable for them as a non-binary gender fluid person. Okay. But they lived as a woman for years.
Okay, I didn't know that. I try to know less about her.
Yeah, they detransitioned about 6 months before they got cast on season 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race, which is why they didn't talk about it on the show, because Eureka literally deleted their internet existence. They deleted everything off their Facebook, everything off their Twitter, everything off their Instagram, changed their email, new phone number. Like, they just became Eureka.
Interesting.
After that.
Interesting. So, and that's kind of something I want to talk about too. Because now that I know that, it kind of gives me a little bit more context to her racism. Because, people that stand at intersections, they'll try to say, I can do this or I can say this because I am also this. Yep. And that's not how this works.
Well, that's why it's important to say,
for a different time.
We'll save it for another episode, but that's why I think it was important to mention, because I do think what happens is you would hope that a person whose life existed at multiple intersections where they are being marginalized, multiply marginalized person, would have more heart, more know-how, extend more grace to people who maybe even aren't marginalized in the same way as they are, but are also affected by the mainstream white status quo.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the same conditions that make life difficult for me are the ones why you don't have the access to what you needed, right? But we'll continue to create hierarchy, there, and it's really, 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 really sad. I have experienced in the city of Cleveland a lot of anti-Black violence from white trans women in the city of Cleveland. I have had people come up and grab me at the crotch, and the girls, grab me at the crotch, use all the racialized language, big black cock this, don't you want to give it to me, daddy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, girl, and then me being who I am, you want to respond, but I'm also like, I got to be careful how I respond, how I respond. Not that I'm trying to inflict like address harm with more harm, but you need to defend yourself and let people know,
you have to draw those boundaries.
So that is something that is real that I do think we need to talk about, because at the same time we need to show up for each other, but we do need to talk about the harm that we cause, intra-community as queer folk as well, but also realizing that this pot, it got different sections in it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that is something that we can talk about a little more in depth.
I'm sure it's gonna come up. Well,
because this ain't gonna be the first or last time Eureka do some shit.
Every episode she's on the show, I'm sure it's going to be something, especially as the queens dwindle down more and the girls get more camera time.
And let's be honest, Eureka gonna make it all the way to the end. If she not in the top 3, she gonna be in the top 4, however they do it. Eureka go last in the competition. She was a finale queen on her season, and when she went home with the broke chicken leg, she wasn't doing bad in the competition. You know what I'm saying?
She wasn't.
So, and I think this becomes difficult for people to be able to judge these things for people, being able to separate like the talent from the person or the things that they do. On paper, as it looks, and this is how RuPaul's Drag Race has shown us what drag should be, Eureka gets an A. The costume is right. The hair is right. The makeup is right. She is on the ad. She's on the HBO TV show. She comes back for All Stars. She can lip sync. She's a good lip syncer. Yeah. She can do the split. She can do all the things that they say you're supposed to do on the show to do well. Eureka does them all, and she does them at a really high, level.
Right.
She got the sad backstory. She got all the things for Drag Race.
Right.
That play into a television show well.
Right.
I mean, the only thing that would make her more palatable to the audience is if she wasn't fat.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I mean, and she's branded herself as the Elephant Queen, so that works for her.
I guess. And like you said, it's difficult for some people to judge. I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say it's difficult for me. I can acknowledge that Eureka is talented. I've never discounted her talent, but it's hard for me to really go there with you when I know that you are a bigot. I just don't see it for you. It's hard for me to be nice to you when I know that.
But also, talent is not enough. People say the same thing about, this musical artist or this, that, and this, that. Well, one, I think we should just practice, speaking the truth. You can be like, this artist did this. I like that song. I'm going to keep listening to it. And you get to take however it feels. If you lose, people don't want to be in proximity to you now because of that, then that's the repercussions for it.
Right.
And, it is what it is.
You made your choice. They made theirs.
Right. But there's also different types of talent. Okay, this queen, this dancer, this singer, this club promoter is talented. But how many others are there? Right? Can we put that energy into someone who is just as talented, right? But just as talented, but got more sense. Because then that pushes the meter forward. People, back when I was teaching, people asked me, how do your students behave the way that they do? How do you get from point A to point B with your kids? And it doesn't seem like it's all this effort involved. Well, I created a classroom where the conditions of the room make it very difficult to exist any other way.
Thank you. Same here.
So if we push the meter the other way, it becomes uncomfortable for people like that to be like that. But we make it too easy for them.
We do, and it starts at the top. So you said when you're the teacher, and I'm a teacher too. So we set the tone in our classroom as the people, and I try to make my classroom as democratic. I tried to lessen the power dynamic there, but I have to set the tone for my classroom. When y'all walk in here, you're gonna act a certain kind of way, and it has worked as long as it has worked. But it starts from the top down, right? RuPaul is not setting the tone for how you're supposed to act on RuPaul Drag Race, at least not politically. Speaking politically. Shirley set the tone that way, so the queens can do whatever they want and it goes unaddressed.
Yep, and that's what it be. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break. And we are back. Thank you for tuning in to Drag from the Left, your weekly digital series where we review RuPaul's Drag Race and discuss relevant social issues from a radical leftist perspective. I am your hostess with the mostest, the very Reverend Dr. Juanita Bind'Em.
And my name is Avery. My drag name this week is Professor Sarita.
Yes, this is the time in the show where we will do a quick, speedy RuPaul's Drag Race recap. In the words of Tina Burner, now it's time for a recap. So we had some special guests this week. There were 2 episodes. So Paramount Plus gave us 1, 2, bang, bang, bang. So of course they want people to get this app. They want to get this app. They want to make sure people stay longer than the free 30 days, the free 15 days. They tried to play me. So I did the little 30 day, and all of a sudden it was like 1 week. I was like, so there's 2 different links. So they have one for 1 week. They have one for 30 days.
Yeah.
So I had to go back, cancel, make sure I do the one for 30 days.
Hello.
Because it's so many apps that you have to have. And again, as far as I'm concerned, it bothers me that RuPaul's Drag Race is behind a paywall.
Literally.
I'll leave it alone. We had 2 episodes. They gave out 1 free on YouTube, so you really know they want people to get this app.
Right.
You know.
And that's a popular thing the girls are doing now. A lot of streaming channels, they put the first one up on YouTube, so you'll...
Well, this is the first time Drag... And all this 20 million umpteen seasons of Drag Race, they done gave us a whole episode for free. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that... Because I knew when they transitioned to giving you Act 1... that was a good marketing tactic. Like all podcasts do this. They have a video portion. They leave the audio content free for listeners, and they'll add like the first 15 minutes of video to their YouTube, and then you go over to their Patreon, whatever. Be on the lookout. We'll be following the same model soon, baby.
Sure will. We ain't gonna reinvent the wheel, girl.
But the whole episode, they really want you to get that stuff. So we had some special guests. Miss Piggy was on the show.
I thought that was really hilarious.
Miss Piggy was not playing with Rue. She's that
backup girlfriend. I got this. Okay. And also, what take you so long to get on the show? I'm surprised that Piggy hasn't been on multiple times. Yeah, you would think.
Like, Piggy is, when I think of a drag queen, like, Piggy is the essence, you know? And there's so many naughty jokes you can make because she's a pig, and there's like Kermit. There's just like a lot that can be done there.
Right.
So I'm mad that they've wasted, all of that. But it was nice to see Miss Piggy. Week 1, of course, is that talent show. The talent show, the extravaganza.
Yeah, it's a staple.
And then they get judged in those looks. So their entrance look would be considered more so their runway.
Right.
So for week 1, we're going to do a quick round of Saint and Sinners. And these are like our favorite. So these are like you in the pits of hell, or you is sitting next to the throne. Okay. You sit next to the throne at his knee. Okay.
The right hand.
At the right hand. So what was your top Saint of the week?
For the first episode?
Yeah.
Raja O'Hara.
Oh, the entrance look with the boots.
Well, I was talking more so about the variety show look. The talent and the dress.
1 minute.
She should have won.
I think she should have won that week.
And I hate to be one of the girls like, oh, so-and-so is Robin, blah, blah, blah. But, like, that was impressive.
It was very impressive.
It was really good. She looked good. She was funny. She was smart about it.
And I thought it was going to be a basic up and down tube dress. Same. And it was a fun color, and it had like the cow neck, which really added, the extra oomph to it. And of course, purple is Raja's color.
That's her thing. I feel like we're going to see that in the entire
But this is
season.
the thing. I'll make a quick comment. So, you know how Tina Burner is like the queen of red, orange, and yellow, allegedly.
Ugly ass colors.
But Raja's the queen of purple, but it don't look ugly.
Thank you.
I think everybody would have been cool with you being the queen of red, orange, and yellow.
If it was done well.
It wasn't ugly. It's so ugly. My top of the week would be Silky Nutmeg Ganache. Her entrance look into that room, that ponytail, those anal bead ponytail. See, this is what Denali tried to do last season, but didn't quite get there. These talk about the rooter to the tutor. These beads was out in the hallway. Okay, she pulled oat milk out her titty, had a fresh baked chocolate chip cookie.
Buttermilk.
Okay, that's buttermilk. Well, after sitting
I hope it's not, girl.
After sitting her titty so long, it might have turned into buttermilk.
Right.
That was my top look. Like everything was right. I also enjoy how Silky is padding now. The shape is a lot different than it was on the previous season, and she had got clocked for her padding being lumpy or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to get them things to stay down in them pantyhose. So
especially even recording as long as they do,
everything got to be shifting.
Yeah.
And it can't be good for your blood pressure and your circulation to have all that stuff on all day.
Can't be.
No. So that would be my top of the week. My center, it has to be. I love Ginger Minj as a performer, but that I don't know what it was. She said it was a frog, a toad,
glamour toad. I didn't see the glam.
I'm gonna do without that.
I just saw the toad.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm good. What about episode 2?
Episode 2. So this was the blue ball. They look every time I'm like, what did they go call the ball this time? This was a good idea.
That was cute.
That was cute. So of course they had to serve 3 different categories. Of course, one of them ends up being a design challenge, which is always fun on RuPaul's Drag Race because it's either like the Achilles heel of a queen or it's the thing that they go come in and absolutely slay.
And can I just say that they all pretty much ate this design look.
I think they did a good job.
Last look, they all looked good.
Jiggly's dress may not have been as good as everybody else's, but it was not that potato sack that she wore last time.
I don't think it was that bad. It could have been.
It was very Central Pay.
A little bit. that takes me out every time.
Very Central Pay.
Because when she said that the first time, she was confident. She meant that shit.
She said it too. She's like, I just want to wear a party dress. I'm fine.
I think the design of it wasn't on the cap. I just think because everyone else's was just like so good. Besides like
off the shoulder toga little dress is not gonna cut it.
Yeah, Ginger Mint just wasn't that good either. But they collectively, it was a good ass runway.
Yeah,
I will say that.
What is your top scene from episode 2?
I'm gonna have to give it to Scarlet Envy's ball extravaganza look, the one she made.
Yeah, it was good.
Ooh, and her other 2 looks were good too. Like I am really kind of like, how is she not in the top? Because she ate.
My favorite look was Jan's denim look, and I'm gonna be completely honest. When it came down the runway, I replaced Jan's body with Simone's, and I was like, "Oh my god, what if Simone wore this?"
You are a stan. She ain't even on the show no more.
No, I'm just like, but literally every time I see something fierce like that, I'm like, "Oh my god, Simone would look so good in that."
Right, and I give Jan shit, and I don't really see it for her, but she ate this ball challenge too.
Yeah, her looks were nice.
Yeah, my center would have to be my girl Trinity K. Bonet's blue collar look. It was just not good.
Yeah, and my center will be Jiggly Caliente's working girl look. I thought the idea of having the girls' names on the trash cans was cool, but it was kind of just white gaff tape and Sharpie marker.
Yeah, it feels like spray painted or some shit.
Yeah, at this point, it didn't need to be spray painted or it needed to be stoned. It needed to be more intricate.
Yeah.
Because like I could have done that at home, which would have been funny. Like, can you imagine like a club routine and like I come down the aisle and it's like Peach Fuzz, Dakota Cox, Jolie Black, all the little girls. I mean, of course, it would be in fun. You know what I'm saying?
They would laugh.
And honestly, the person I don't be, because it would be drama. I was like, girl, I'm gonna do this number. I'm gonna let you know your name. Right, in the trash can.
Right.
Okay. But child, and then I can hide him in the trash can. They can all pop up. But that might be a number.
Right.
But it wasn't where it needed to be for me. It wasn't where it needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah. So
let's talk about who went home.
Okay. So week 1, of course, Serena Cha-Cha. We knew that was going to be somebody has to go home fast. It was really giving that.
It was. Because they were all like, bitch, why are you here? And I was like, the viewing audience was kind of like, oh, this was a choice.
But you know what? And this is how I know that she could stop saying racist shit, because she is in tune. She was like, look, I am just happy to be here. I was here with again, just like season 5, I was here with the best girls. And I came and I did what I did, and maybe somebody will buy my wigs. I'm good to go. That's somebody with sense. And somebody with sense cannot say that.
Self-awareness.
Right.
And I will say this about Serena Cha-Cha. The outfit she went home in was
cute.
I loved
Very
it.
Cute.
That color blue, the wig, the makeup was kind of a lot, but it was still beat.
Also, Rue was right. Rue was like, girl, why didn't you cha-cha the whole time? She should have did a whole Latin number.
So here's my thing. when RuPaul was like, I really only got into it when you started cha-chaing. I was like, so you just wanted to... The part you enjoyed more than when she exploited her culture for your entertainment. That's what you enjoyed more?
Of course. Hey, but then Ruth tried to act like they know music. They was like, you only did it for 4 bars. It was like, it was more like 4 beats, but like, like, okay, girl.
Yeah.
I think you made a skipped out on music theory class.
Just a taste.
Well, you remember what Rose said? One of us is a singer and one of us is a recording artist. So there is that. Oh, we didn't talk about this. Y'all know this is the point in the show when we get all over the place. They updated all the music.
They did?
Yeah, the songs have been remixed and they suck. They tried to put like a new little hit beat on them.
No.
And it just don't. It doesn't.
The songs were fine as they were.
I'm almost 100% certain that Rue didn't completely re-record them, which is why they sound this way. There's something about the audio that is like, I was always taught that like the voice should feel like it's on top of the track, so to say, right?
On top of the vocal.
On top, you gotta be on top of the vocal. Very Danity Kane, very making the band. Okay, you need to be on top of the vocal. And Rue was buried underneath all the layers in the track, but they updated it because the original song says "May the best woman win," and now the track says "May the best drag queen win." I didn't know but she said it like she didn't even want to say it. Like it had an umph and a gusto. She could have still "and the best drag queen win." Like
she was like, "Here y'all go," so y'all be complaining.
That's what it was given. So Serena Cha-Cha It was the bottom two with Serena Chacha and Trinity K. Bonet. Coco Montrese lip syncs the house down boots. And of course,
an actual
lip sync assassin came out in this stunt. It was giving me very like 19 whatever year that outfit is.
It's giving 20s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was giving me kind of Great Gatsby little moment. Would that be Art Deco? Is that era, or is that somewhere else? I don't know.
Art history. I know history though.
But it was very cute with the French, and she wasn't orange. But her under eye highlight was.
It was a lot. It was very.
The under eye highlight.
I was watching it with and. And they were like, I'm just going to ignore that. I'm pretending like it's not there.
Yeah, everything else was right.
How can you ignore it though? It's in your face.
It was the under eye highlight was a lot. But you know what? At Mixed Juneteenth, I didn't wear enough because I was melting. So, it is what it is. The lip sync song was Uptown Funk You Up, Uptown Funk. It was Coco Montrese versus the winner of that week's challenge, which was Yara Sophia. And I forgot because I was just like, I was over the titties at that point.
Yeah, take them off. Like, it was funny at first.
And
now
then
it's just a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, it was annoying. That's what it was.
That's why she lost, probably.
Week 2, I guess, judge was Big Frida in the house. We love Big Frida.
Can we just pause for a second? Because Mama looked amazing.
She always does.
Like,
the makeup was right, the outfit was right, the hair.
Everything.
I loved her hair, all them curls.
Yes.
And they were pushed back out of her face.
She looked so good.
You already know. First off, when Rue tried to sing it,
I was like, no. I'm so glad she followed up and did it how it's supposed to be.
Let's get the key. Let's find the key. Let's find the key. I have perfect pitch.
You seen that video of the
church lady?
Wrong key, girl.
I know. I have perfect pitch. Okay, girl. A devil is a liar.
And then she said it again. She was like, wrong key, girl.
She stayed in the wrong key. She couldn't find it. So the Maxi Challenge winner that week was Raja O'Hara, and the lip sync assassin she went against was Brooklyn Heights. I was a little worried because Brooklyn is one of them girls to do the kicks and flips and dips and all of that, and Raja was like, I got you, boo.
Yeah.
It was very, very good, and I really liked the sportsmanship. Brooklyn Heights gave her a little high five, little elbow at the end. I was like, girl, you did that. Also, Brooklyn Heights has talked over and over and over again as how she's sick of dancing. Like, she's been dancing her whole life and her body hurts and she is done with the dancing. She says when she finally books a solo world tour as a drag queen that she is only doing ballads and wearing long gowns. And I mean, because
it's your art. You can do what you want with it.
Well, when she was in Ballet Truncadero, they perform on point, and that there's a limited time span of being able to do that. So I get it. And then she transitioned into being in heels all the time and corsets. So the body hurt.
I believe, like I said, it's your art. Do what you want with it.
Exactly. Miss You Much was the song Janet Jackson. They're doing good on the song choice again. It's not hitting as hard as season 13, but the song choice is still hitting.
Yes.
Thank you, Janet Jackson, because some people's estate and they won't let you do the music. Yeah. So Raja O'Hara and Brooklyn Heights tie. Rue love a tie now. I'm like tie traumatized from All Stars. I don't want no tie. I don't believe in ties. We was both good. Who was better? Let me know. That is the true competitor in me. And the bottom two is Jiggly Caliente and Yara Sophia. Yara Sophia went from the top and tumbled all the way down for the bottom, and she better watch her back because she did that technique when you want to send the best girl home. And my issue is the girls be talking too much. I wouldn't give a rationale.
I wouldn't say nothing.
I wouldn't give a rationale.
They did the same shit on season 13. Like, you giving away your whole game plan. Like, keep it to yourself.
Nope, absolutely not. And quiet as it's kept, I might actually them cash chips. I don't even know. I might even throw all them lip syncs, to be honest. Unless the lip sync I had was somebody's name who I just knew everybody else agreed with. Nah, I'm good. And we say bye bye to Jiggly Caliente. Do you agree with the girls that have gone home so far?
I was gonna call her name Serenity. Whatever her name is. Serena Cha-Cha. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a one and done kind of. That's mean, but yeah, we saw it coming. I like Jiggly, so I'm struggling with this.
Well,
and there were so many other girls that could have been in that bottom. Like Silky could have been in the bottom because her runways were that ball challenge. It wasn't given what it's supposed to have gave. Ginger Minge too. Like we could have switched up that bottom a whole lot, but I mean. Yes, I guess.
It's 13 girls. It's a lot of heavy hitters, very talented. I think that if anybody has issues grasping to the season, I think it's because the group of girls are not girls that we would necessarily pick together. Like All Stars typically, like the girls, like you think All Stars 2, well, it was mostly season 5 girls, right? And then season 3 had everybody that we wanted to be redeemed, and then All Stars 4 was similar. And they had those big name girls in there.
Season 5.
Season 5 was I think season 5 of All Stars is just as bad as All Stars. It's worse than All Stars 1 in my opinion.
Yeah, but the casting, like they were like pretty much all fan favorites besides India Fair and Derek Barry.
Yeah, I mean, and anything Shea Coulee can show up in season 207 and people will watch it.
Right.
So, and I would be one of those people.
Same.
Jiggly Caliente's farewell messages. It's been real. You may call me Jiggly. So we're looking for next week's episode. I doubt that they're going to jump out with 2 again. So we'll get episode 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race. We'll probably be around till September. Oh, yeah. See, Avery over here signaling at me. You forgot the twist. You forgot the twist.
No, I was just saying, let's talk. They might hurt me to whisper like twist.
There is going to be a twist this season. The spoilers already been online. Everybody already knows.
We watched the spoiler, so let's just talk about
the girls. Spoiler alert. So the girls is gonna come back, and like if you've been eliminated, you'll get a chance to fight back into the competition. And it's not gonna be like before where they normally do like the rules, like the big lip sync thing. Yeah. Each week, I think after this point, if you get eliminated, you might get to come back by lip syncing against the bottom girl, the previous bottom girl.
Right. So next week, I'm expecting Serena and Jiggly to go at it, and the winner gets to come back.
Yep.
So this might be a long season.
Yeah, I think All Stars is normally like 8 or 10 episodes.
It's not very long.
It's not very long. So
definitely.
Yeah. So that's the episode.
I enjoyed the first 2. I'm enjoying this cast of girls. It seems like they have a really good camaraderie amongst each other. Yeah. Like during the talent show, like they were really like into what each other were doing. So I'm excited to see how the season is going to play out.
Yeah, and they're acting like consummate professionals, and I'm always a fan of that.
Until they start fighting.
I mean, that can be a little fun too. Just a little bit. As long as the fighting is not, like bigoted fighting. It's just like regular, little drama here and there. We have been very, very busy since we've been away. If you want to stay up to date with what we've been doing, please follow us online at Drag From The Left on all social media platforms. That's DRAGFTL, DRAGFTL. Feel free to tweet at us using hashtag Drag From The Left to ask us questions. They might just happen here on the show. Cute.
And if y'all can ascertain that we sound a little bit different, a little bit more clear, maybe, it is because we are now in an actual real live studio.
Coming on up.
So here in Cleveland, in the Lakewood area specifically, we are gearing up for our new neighborhood. I don't know if that's the terminology we want to use. Our new queer neighborhood, and it is called Studio West. And in Studio West, there is a podcast studio.
A studio
that we have been fortunate enough to be the first ever podcast to record in.
Legendary.
Thankfully, a big thank you to our friends and kind of producer that has hopped on, has been gracious enough to come in here and make sure we got all the wires, because y'all know I don't do well with technology. Ugh. Dr. Lady J is here with us, making sure we sound great. Ever since we met them, they have been just doing whatever they could to support us and to help us, and we are so appreciative.
And y'all better appreciate it too, y'all sweet little ears in the microphone.
Listen, we not cracking no more. I'm not fading in and out. Y'all don't hear that little beep, 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 beep.
Child, because y'all know Avery and that microphone, child. But be on the lookout. We have a lot of fun things in store, so make sure you follow us online. We just wrapped up Mixed Juneteenth, the Black and Queer Liberation Celebration. We held a community festival here in Cleveland for Black and queer folk. We had an amazing turnout, and there is more to come.
Way more to come, y'all.
I am your hostess with the mostest, the very Reverend Dr. Juanita Bind'Em.
And this is Avery. My drag name this week is Professor Sarita.
And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.